Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the College Town Podcast. My name is Derek DeBerger, and with me is Sam Roth.
How are we doing, guys?
This episode, we talk a little bit about Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman. There wasn't much to talk about, so we move on quickly, just like now. We talk about Deion Sanders, his comments, and Colorado's prospects going forward. The real buzz about Jim Harbaugh potentially going to the NFL. We talk about some other sports in college getting closer to crowning champions. We talk about Bronny James making his debut for USC after cardiac arrest, and then we do our very, very, very tightly contested pick'em segment, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
Which we do every episode, and which you can vote on as well here on YouTube. So
Do the
we'll
picks.
see. Yeah, just do the picks. All right, we'll see you in the episode. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and a big shout out to all of our soldiers out there. Hoorah! Army won.
Yeah, they did.
Hoorah!
They won by that much.
Yeah,
Came
pretty
down
much.
to 6 inches.
Guess who picked it? This guy.
That guy.
Well, they would have had to go for 2. So
Right, but could have been a game. Who knows?
who knows?
First time it's ever been played in Foxborough.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You know, the most times times the city that's hosted it the most times. Sorry, the Army Navy game. Do you know that or no?
My guess would be D.C.
No, actually, it's Philly.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's Philly, which makes sense. Makes sense in a lot of ways. Technically, D.C. both of them have to go south
I mean,
because it's in Ann Arbor, Maryland.
Oh, okay.
And so DC is
What's
there are
in
parts
Ann
of
Arbor,
Maryland.
Which academy? Both academies?
Navy.
Right?
No.
Okay.
Army's in West Point, New York.
Gotcha.
I
mean, Philadelphia kind
Philly's
of makes sense.
closer to the middle.
Wasn't Philly, correct me if I'm wrong in my American history class, but wasn't Philly the former capital at one point? It was a lot of stuff was signed there, I'm aware, but I don't know if it was the capital or not at one point.
I think there were people that wanted to make it the capital.
I mean, I know it's got the Liberty Bell and all that stuff.
You might be correct about that, actually. That does, no pun intended, ring a few bells. But, I mean, I know that, this big history podcast here, but
Yeah. Welcome to your American history course.
I know
It's a little
that they
crash course.
signed the two Continental Congresses
Mm-hmm.
were in Philadelphia, and that's where they signed the Declaration of Independence and probably wrote the Constitution as well.
There you go.
Yeah. Shout out Philly. The city had to ban police horses because too many drunk people kept punching them.
Are you serious?
That's a real story. That's
Really?
real.
I know that for
Ugh.
Philly, and I know for Philly that they always had to grease up the poles to prevent people from getting up on them before a championship. They would grease up the street lights and the poles to prevent people from climbing them.
Oh, I've never been, but God, I
Yeah,
love Philly.
Like, I believe the Phillies were in. Did the Phillies win the World Series this year? I forget. I know they were in the World Series.
I don't think they won.
It was the Rangers.
Yes.
The Rangers won. Yeah.
Yes.
But
Well, the Rangers beat the Diamondbacks. That's who it is.
Oh yeah, Diamondbacks. They made it to the NLCS. Yeah. Yeah, but Philadelphia Phillies, they greased up, and also for when the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl, they greased
Multiple
up.
times, yeah.
Yeah, they greased their. Yeah,
God, you gotta love Philly. It's always sunny in Philadelphia.
it's a little different, isn't it? Yeah,
great place.
great sports town. Absolutely. I mean, we'll get.
Speaking of Philly,
Besides the fact that they got
Villanova, right?
Yeah. What about
They
Villanova?
were in the FCS playoff.
Oh yeah, they were. How'd
Yeah.
they do?
Oh, they lost.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It was a lot closer than I thought it would be. It was a lot closer, I think, than anyone thought it would be.
I saw something about this game actually.
They lost by 10 points.
Yeah, they had tents set up for the cold, and people were giving them crap because it was like 38, but it was like 25-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, that's freaking cold.
They were saying, a lot of commenters on the Instagram were saying that kids are soft these days.
Yeah, are they? Boo-hoo. Go ahead and be soft without any fingers or toes because you had to get them amputated because of hypothermia.
Hey,
I'll be soft all day with all my digits. I don't
The
care.
Chicago Bears and the Packers were going at it in the Frozen Bowl. Is that what they called it?
I don't know.
The Tundra. It was something like that.
I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyway, we've talked a lot of professional sports along with American history here.
Yeah.
Colonial history.
Yeah. Mine are tangents here.
Yeah. But yeah, as we said, Army won the Army-Navy game.
Yeah. Very close game.
And they
Very
had the better
exciting.
uniforms, too. Those are great uniforms. That, like, sand uniforms they had. Those are cool. We alluded to the FCS playoffs. The quarterfinals were this past weekend. Not a lot of great games, but football was fun.
I will say for the Army-Navy game, I learned something new about it. I didn't realize that they did an exchange of prisoners at the game. So
What?
yeah. So I'll explain. So it became tradition. I believe in the 60s, Air Force, Navy, Army, all the academies, if you will. I'm not sure if that's a technical term.
Yeah, the academies.
Yeah, all of them started to offer classes to other servicemen from other branches. And so what they did is you could go take a class there or visit there for a week or so. And then they made it to where you could like transfer, if you will, for a semester. And so all the cadets that would want to take classes at another academy could do so. And then at the game, they take a handful of those cadets, and then they do an exchange of prisoners at the game, where the for that winter semester, all the it's like 7 or 8 of them who spent the year at the other academy, like Army and Navy and vice versa, they are on one side, and then they exchange them. And then you just see them run off to their student bases themselves. And it's kind of a cool tradition.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's fun about that game.
Right.
You know, like how the president, every single Army-Navy game, whoever the president is, sits with one side for the first half, and then at halftime goes switch and sits to the other side. So it's a very cool game.
It's a very rich tradition.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I picked it right, so go Army. Yeah. Did you watch any FCS playoffs or no?
I kind of like grazed through like the scroll and saw that North Dakota State just trounced whoever they were playing.
South Dakota. I was shocked
South
about
Dakota?
that.
Really?
I was very shocked about that.
No, I wasn't, because what I little know about it is that North Dakota State kind of runs it. Fun fact, North Dakota State's head coach is leaving them right now.
You taking another job?
He's taking a linebacker's job at like USC or something. Let me check this, because he's leaving.
That I see.
He's
I didn't
leaving
have
mid playoffs.
That's wild. Well, I mean, they've kind of got a machine there. They've been through a lot of coaches recently. Like Chris Kleiman is probably the.
Oh, he's continuing to
one of the
coach
most-
through the playoff. Okay.
Okay.
Um.
Anyway, I was shocked. I was very shocked that North Dakota State just destroyed South Dakota. For one, it was at South Dakota. 2, South Dakota beat North Dakota State earlier this year. 3, North Dakota State has not been what they normally are this year.
Which is the powerhouse of dominance.
They have 3 losses this year.
Really?
Yeah, and in a season, in FCS, you only play 11 regular season games. 3, that's magnified by, like a hair, but still, that's 3 losses, quite a bit. And so,
Yeah, Matt Ince is his name. He's leaving to go to USC as
I
their
think it's
linebacker.
Ertz.
Ian
Ertz.
Ince?
Ertz.
ENTZ?
Oh, it's Ince. You're right. I thought there was an R. I can't read it from here.
That's all right. I'm dyslexic, but I'm not stupid.
Well, I'm not right next. I'm not as close as you are.
It's all right. I've said a bunch of stupid stuff on this podcast a time or two. But yeah, Matt Ince, he's leaving to go to USC as to be their linebacker coach.
I mean,
Would you say that's a lateral move or an upward move to go from FCS to a position coach at a major, we'll call it a major program?
a normal FCS job, that's probably a step up.
Right. But
North Dakota State, I think that's at best a lateral move. Like, I think if it's an offensive coordinator position somewhere, or a defense coordinator, whatever he is, I think that's probably a step up. But
quite a few talented guys have come out of that program.
oh, absolutely. One of who I think is one of the best up and coming coaches right now in college football is Chris Kleiman.
Yeah.
came from North Dakota State.
Oh.
Phenomenal coach, in my opinion.
Yep. Kansas State now.
Mm-hmm. But
what other games happen in the playoffs? Are we down to the semifinals now?
yes, we are. We are down to the Final Four, if you will, even though technically only basketball has the right to call that the Final Four.
Oh, interesting.
It's a trademark thing. But anyway.
Yeah, and then the hockey's
Frozen
Four.
Yeah. So Montana beat Furman in a good game. Probably the best game. That game started off electric.
Really?
Opening kick of the game taken for a touchdown.
Ooh.
Furman immediately matches with a score. Montana immediately puts up another 7. And then Furman immediately matches with another score. In like very, very quickly. In like 10 minutes, there's like 28 points scored. It was like, oh, this is going to be a barn burner. And then there's 14. Is it 14? No. It ended up being 28-28 in overtime. And then Montana won 35-28. It was the first quarter was incredible. And then the rest was definitely a defensive game. But I mean, both of those teams have fantastic defenses. Fantastic. I mean, that was the hype going into the game, is that it was going to be just like a war of attrition, just because both teams have very good defenses. And Furman, in regulation, only actually gave up 14 points of offense. I think there was a punt return and a kick return for a touchdown that they gave up. So Furman's defense actually played better than Montana's defense, which is interesting. And then something I learned about Montana, which I did not know, a ton of people left at halftime. Montana, because it's so cold there, they let you leave to get warm and then come back.
Oh.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
What would be smart is if they had, and I don't know how much money Montana has, so I don't know how feasible this actually is, but if they had like just stations set up with just heaters, maybe not like at the seats, and you obviously don't run it all game long, but if you just ran it at halftime, that's 20 minutes. So all you got to do is run it for 20 minutes, and then people get warm there, and then come back.
They kind of already have that, though, in a way at stadiums, I feel like. I've done it before. At halftime, watching a game, halftime, just go to the bathroom. I'm chilling in the bathroom.
I went to a Notre Dame-Stanford game one time in South Bend. At the start of the game, I think it was 38 degrees and raining. And then by the end of the game, it was like 34 and raining. In the first half, I did not have the appropriate gloves for this. I had I basically what it amounted to mittens that someone had lent me because I didn't have gloves before. The people that I was going with, they're like, here, we'll get you some gloves. And so they gave me gloves, but they got so soaking wet. At halftime, I went to go to the bathroom, and I took my gloves off, and I was trying to undo my zipper. I couldn't feel my fingers. I was in there the entire third quarter because I couldn't feel my fingers, and I couldn't do it. I was like, couldn't do it. Third quarter ended up being scoreless.
Oh. And
there was only one more touchdown for the end of the game, which once I finally could pee and wash my hands, in hindsight, I should have run my hands under warm water. That would have made it easier, but I was in high school then. I was not as... Wow, actually, now that I've never thought about that before, actually. That would have made things a lot easier. But anyway, I came out right before the game-winning touchdown.
Oh.
And I was like, well, I didn't miss much.
Nah.
Miss much, but yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, and then, I don't know, are we missing any games?
We did,
I feel like I'm missing a game.
Montana, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Albany.
Yeah. Albany and Idaho.
Yeah.
Albany won.
No.
Albany beat Idaho. It wasn't a great game.
It's a
I know.
shame.
Joe Vandal, our boy Joe Vandal.
It's a shame. Destined for greatness.
Yeah. So, but now we've got South Dakota State versus Albany, and then Montana versus North Dakota State. Those games are going to be at South Dakota State and Montana, respectively.
Yep.
So, I'm pretty excited for them. really excited for that North Dakota State Montana game.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good game. But yeah, you want to move on to the news?
Sure.
This
To
week?
the news.
So this has been interesting.
What has been interesting?
There hasn't this coaching carousel
Mm-hmm.
has not been that crazy.
No.
Aside from like Texas A&M paying
$75 million.
paying like a year's worth of tuition payments, seemingly, which that's probably not true in the slightest. But aside of Jimbo getting fired and then the whole debacle with Mark Stoops, it's kind of been a quiet coaching carousel. Like,
Yeah.
plus because most of the hires have been pretty solid hires.
Yeah. For
It
the
doesn't
most part.
really seem like any of the jobs that people actually care about. It doesn't seem like. Let's be honest. I don't care who
mean-
Middle Tennessee State hires.
No, I get what you're saying. It's just.
I don't care who Middle Tennessee State
know.
hires.
I know.
I'm just calling it how it is.
I know. It was just so blunt. It was like, damn.
Any of the coaching hires people actually care about, they've all been pretty good hires.
Yeah, on paper, absolutely. We'll see how they perform.
And there hasn't been, I don't think, a ton of jobs available. That could change though.
Has Oregon State found their new coach?
Mm-hmm.
Who
I think
found?
they, I believe they promoted their defensive coordinator.
Oh, okay.
They
Hired
just
in-house.
went, they just went internal, which
Because it seems like
I don't know how that's
going
gonna
to
work.
following, what's his name, to Michigan State. Why can't I think of his name?
I've heard a lot of people.
Oh,
You talking about Jonathan Smith,
I think that's it. Yeah.
his coach? Yeah, that's
A
that's
lot
the
of
coach
guys
of
are
that.
following him, which is kind
Yes.
of impressive. I guess the NIL money isn't there at Oregon State to retain these guys.
He's a good coach though. I mean, I get it. I get why you would follow him.
I do feel it's rare and rare now with the NIL money to see guys leave with a coach. It still happens. There are guys who go to a school for a coach.
Yeah.
1,000%. But
Mhm.
I do think it's rare and rare now to see that happening.
Yeah. It's I think what's more rare than a coach leaving for another job and then a bunch of the players at that school following them is recruits doing that. That's what's really, really becoming rare because
Is recruits leaving because of the NIL money?
yes. Normally, what used to happen was if a coach left for another school, whether they were fired or left voluntarily, a lot of the recruits would follow him because they're like, well, this is the guy that recruited me. That's my guy. I'm going to play for him. I didn't sign up to play for Oregon or whatever. I signed up to play for this guy. You know? And now with the NIL, a lot of the reason why a lot of people are going somewhere in the first place is because of the money.
Right.
Which I don't blame them at all.
No, go get
Go
your
ahead.
money.
Yeah. Like only 2% or whatever.
Go pro.
I think it's less actually in football.
They say 2% of all
They round up.
all-around athletes.
Yeah. But anyway, what I was saying is the coaching carousel might get a lot more interesting.
You would think all the fires would be done by now. The only reason why
I could
there'd
see
be jobs opening is because guys go into bigger and better jobs.
Yeah.
Guys getting poached, like an Elko to Duke.
Yeah. That opened up Duke, which allowed Manny Diaz to be hired.
Right.
Which looks like a pretty decent hire, honestly.
Yeah.
But I could see people getting fired after bowl games.
Really?
Yeah, I could.
If you're already gonna make the move, why not make the move? Like, why does a bowl game matter all of a sudden?
No, I think you're right.
Like, if you're
I
gonna
think
make the
it's-
fire, make the fire.
Yeah, bowl games are increasingly less important.
Well, yeah. Now that
And
you,
so it is rare, but I think it's possible. Like if UCLA loses, there's already rumors that they're not happy with Chip Kelly. I don't get that. I think that's stupid. But there's already rumors out there. They're not happy with Chip Kelly. So if they lose, I could see that. But what could really just throw a whole lot of gasoline on this fire and then stick a blowtorch on it could be the rumors that Jim Harbaugh might not be at Michigan for that long. Let me explain. There had been reports that he had been offered a contract which would make him one of the highest paid coaches in college football, but he was hesitant on signing it.
Mm-hmm.
Those reports became a lot louder and a lot more true when they was leaked the specific details of that. The offer was $55 million over 5 years, but the stipulation in there that could prevent him from signing is that the contract basically says you can't leave for an NFL job. You can leave for another college job. You cannot leave for an NFL job. And so he hasn't signed it yet. $11 million a year would make him the highest paid coach in the Big Ten, one of the highest paid coaches in all of college football. And then another thing that's very interesting, Diana Rossini of ESPN, she reported that the Bears have been having conversations internally about firing their current coach, Matt Eberflus, and hiring Jim Harbaugh, which would make sense because Jim Harbaugh, I believe, got drafted by the Bears.
Yeah.
So I know he played for the Bears at one point. And they're probably going to have the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yep.
So
the Carolina Panthers pick.
Very, very...
They're going to have, unless they keep winning, which who knows, but at one point it was like they had 2 top 5 picks.
Yeah, I think they still probably do. I don't know.
They keep winning. So
they will have 2 very good picks.
The Bears are by no means a playoff contender. And if you have the 1 pick and Caleb Williams does go into the draft.
He's going to go. He's not playing in the bowl game. He's going to go in the draft.
Right. So it just, that plus mixed in with who knows if he's even going to be coaching next year with all the allegations looming over his head of what's going to happen. Because let's be honest, Michigan did cheat. They got caught for cheating.
Mm-hmm. They absolutely did cheat.
And
Free my man Harbaugh.
And at the very worst, he didn't know about it.
Very worst.
At the very best.
Very best. You're right.
At the very best, he didn't know about it.
Monkey see, monkey do.
So it's like
monkey pee all over you.
So it's one of those where it's like if he wants to, quote unquote, avoid being punished.
Mm-hmm.
And still
where there's smoke, where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's been smoke here for a long time. There's been rumors that hey, maybe he's interested in the Bears job. They suck. That's probably going to open up soon.
But there's also just hope there too. They're starting to win games. They have a top pick. That's kudos to their trade that they made of last year.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting to see. And then if he leaves, who's in line for that Michigan job?
See,
let's go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah. Let's say he does leave.
Let's hop into the DeBurger AD office of Michigan.
Yeah.
Who's available to you at Michigan? Who are the coaches that obviously there's certain coaches who are off the table.
Mm-hmm.
But who's a guy that you could go, ooh, I like him. I could go get him.
Yeah. So an easy hire is just Sharon Moore.
Oh, just keep it in-house?
Yeah, basically. The offensive coordinator. He already coached 4 games this year.
Mm-hmm.
Went 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
They looked noticeably worse when he was the coach than when Harbaugh was the coach. But if you just want to not have this thing be a headache, you just hire Sharon Moore. I don't think that's the best decision.
All right.
I like Sharon Moore as an offensive coordinator. I don't know how I feel about him as a head coach yet. I said it before. I like Chris Klieman a lot. I'm gonna have a conversation with Chris Klieman. You're Michigan. You can steal some people.
Oh, 1,000%. You are a powerhouse in a very dominant conference.
Yeah, Chris Klieman is absolutely someone you're gonna want to talk to. If you are delusional and you think you can get him, you go and talk to Jeff Brom. Because that's a great hire if you can get him. You can't get him, though.
I don't know, Michigan?
Yes, I think. There's certain people. Kirk Ferentz is not going to leave Iowa for another job. Jeff Brom's not going to leave Louisville for another job. But I don't know. I'm kind of struggling off the top of my head to think, but yeah, Chris Kleiman is definitely one of them that pops up for sure. And then Jeff Brom, if you're one of those people that thinks that you can get him. I like John Summerall a lot, but he's only. I don't know. I don't know. My answer would probably be Chris Kleiman. I'm going to look at other teams just to.
Could you go get the coach of the year?
Kalen DeBoer? No.
No, he's not leaving Washington.
Kalen DeBoer's not going to leave. Rhett Lashley, though. I'd be interested in Rhett Lashley. SMU's coach.
I don't know.
Very interesting.
I don't think that's ever happened though. To go from a non-Power 5, I mean, next year they will be programmed to a top job like that. You got to be poaching someone from at least a Power 5 conference that's a head coach.
What are you talking about? Urban Meyer did it with Florida. He went from Utah to Florida. They were a group of 5 at the time.
You also had Alex Smith
and Dan Mullen as his offensive coordinator.
Who's now
calling games
from a halftime desk.
I don't know if I'm. Yeah, I guess Rhett Lashley, Chris Kleinman. Yeah, I would call them.
Gotcha.
And then if you're delusional enough, Jeff Brom. I think those are my 3 guys.
All right.
That's it.
I got you.
I don't know. Maybe Lane Kiffin.
I was going to say, Lane Kiffin. Do you think Lane Kiffin would leave Ole Miss?
I think he likes the South as far as like coaching and recruiting. That's interesting, though, because that's a good job. Michigan's a very good job.
That's what I'm saying.
Especially if Harbaugh leaves in the state that he's leaving. Sure, they're going to get punished, but he got that thing rolling.
What about Missouri's coach?
Eli Drinkowitz? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They look very good this year. The rest of his resume is not that great. He stepped into App State after Scott Satterfield left. Just kind of kept things going there for a year, and then immediately took the job in Missouri. He's been kind of mediocre at Missouri. Like last season, I think they went 6-6 through the regular season, and they were very, very competitive in a lot of games that maybe they shouldn't have been. But I don't know. If I'm Michigan's AD, I'm gonna stay away from him simply because I haven't seen enough. That's just how I view that situation. But yeah, that's what's going on with Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. That'll be interesting to watch. Interesting development. But another big-time head coach, we got Deion Sanders making more news. Colorado and Deion were in the news a little bit.
For what?
This past week.
I mean, they did lose some recruits. I saw.
That's one of the things. They've lost 3 big-time recruits just decommitting. I don't think they've committed anywhere yet. They have decommitted from Colorado. So that is interesting. He did get a 5-star O-line recruit for the next class. But, let's see if he can hold on to that guy. But another reason he was in the news is that he has a documentary series on Amazon Prime, which is very fitting place for it to go. And in the documentary series, he said, sometimes he wishes he had more privacy.
Huh.
And he's saying that to a documentary crew that he is allowing to follow him.
I see the irony there.
Yeah. And also just the way he's conducted himself and the program there at both at Jackson State and at Colorado.
So
it's interesting because a lot of people, I think, let's be honest, a lot of people hate Deion Sanders now. A lot of people really do not like him now.
Yep.
I still think he's a guy who can win at Colorado. I think obviously he's a huge personality, so I think he's going to be able to recruit too.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting. Do you know how many people have transferred out of Colorado as of right now, or no?
take a look.
Because I know he brought in like 80 guys last year. He can't bring in 80 guys for this next year. He can't do it. You have to, if you're trying to build a program, you have to have some consistency. And so you can't just kick everyone out. You're like, the players on your team can't be a revolving door, and you can't, and you know, you hope that like, oh, this one hits. This one hits, we're 11-1. You have to actually build for the future. And I know they were coming off of a 1-11 year. So it makes sense that you would bring in the most transfers out of anyone in the country. That makes sense.
Right.
But we're going to have to pay attention to how he approaches the portal and recruiting going forward, especially with this year, because they were 4-8, but if they shore up the two lines, the offensive and defensive line, I think they're much better than 4-8. I think that was the biggest glaring issue by far. There were other issues. You know, you could have had better skill players. You could have had a better defense. Whatever.
5, 6,
but that was it. That was the big issue. And so I don't think he needs to blow up the team. And I think if he doesn't blow up the team, I'm just going on a rant here, stalling. But I think if he doesn't blow up the team,
I can't find the number.
No, that's okay.
It's like 7 or 8 are out, and like he's brought in like 6 in already.
Okay.
I do.
7 is not crazy. That's not a crazy number.
I mean, it is early. He can still go get. So what's so weird to me is that, honestly, Colorado finished last in the Pac-12, right, this year?
Did they finish last?
Yeah, they finished last.
There's no way they were worse than Stanford, right?
I'm pretty sure. Wait, let me just do Pac-12 standings.
Yeah. There's no way they were worse than Stanford.
I
know they lost to Stanford, but
I'm pretty sure they finished last.
Actually, now that I think about it, I guess their only win was against Arizona State.
I was about to say, I think they finished last in the Pac-12. Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. They were the only team in the conference without two conference wins.
They had one win, yeah.
That is interesting.
And you know what's bad is I looked at their Big 12 schedule.
Is it rough next year?
They might be worse. Like, genuinely. And, like, their out-of-conference is crazy. Like, they start off next year with North Dakota State.
That could be rough.
Right. I mean, it's an FCS opponent, but
yeah, but it's
it is
the
FCS opponent. Like, I mean,
I know I went on a whole spiel at the beginning of this episode saying that they're down from what they normally are, but it's still North Dakota State.
No.
Even if they're going to have a new head coach.
They're in the Final Four of the FCS.
I mean,
yeah, like,
I don't know. I think
North Dakota State, at Nebraska, at Colorado State, Arizona, Utah, Baylor, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Cincinnati, Kansas, Texas Tech, UCF. The only win I really see is I see Colorado State, Arizona, and Kansas. Cincinnati, not Kansas. Like, those are like 3.
Texas Tech could be a toss-up, especially because they are not really known for playing defense.
If Baylor has another down year, but I mean, like, a healthy Cam Rising at Utah, no way. Nebraska with a second-year Matt Rule.
At Nebraska, yeah, that's going to be tough.
I mean, there's really no gimmies here.
It is a tough schedule. It's a really tough schedule.
So, I mean, like, honestly, like if they become bowl eligible, I'll be like, that's a win.
Yeah, and obviously bowl eligible from a literal standpoint is 2 wins better than this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, like, it is quite literally improvement.
I mean, like, in theory, they should be going into Utah like 4-0, 3-1.
I don't know, man. Arizona, Nebraska, North Dakota State.
I mean, like,
they could be 1-3 through that.
Yeah, they could. Honestly,
I would expect 2-2. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to beat Colorado State.
But yeah, it's a gauntlet they have.
It does look tough. It does look tough right now.
It's also just so weird looking at a Big 12 schedule without Texas and Oklahoma as well.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. But, I mean, the Pac-12 was tough this year too. It was the best conference this year.
1,000%.
It's not like they didn't play a gauntlet in the Pac-12. They
No,
absolutely
they
played
most
tough
definitely
teams.
did, but they also finished 1-8 through that gauntlet.
Yeah.
They didn't.
I mean, you were right about that.
They didn't. Who did they beat?
Arizona State on a game-winning field goal. But
Also, it was just scorched earth. He fired his OC mid-season, basically.
mm-hmm.
He didn't fire him, but he basically
He demoted him. Yeah, that was not a good look. Especially because Sean Lewis is a good coach.
Also, when your defense is giving up 40 points a game and your offense is scoring 40 points a game.
The offense was not the problem.
1,000% it wasn't.
But
yeah.
I mean, so if they only have lost 7 to 8 transfers so far, I think that's very good sign because I think the guys that return are going to be much better. I think Colorado, not Colorado, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, he is the type of big personality that, he's going to attract recruits there, but he's also going to attract a good coaching staff. Like, his offensive coordinator right now is Pat Shurmur, former NFL head coach. Like, that's a good offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. And he was just an analyst before. So he's got a good staff there.
So I did learn about this. The analyst is just another word for a coach.
Oh, yeah, it
is. We
is.
only have so many coaches.
Yes, I'm aware of that. I think we've been over that on
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah. Right here, live on air.
Mm-hmm.
But so he's got a good staff. Like, I think they're going to coach these guys up. I think the people that remain on the roster are going to improve, and they're going to have good players coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he's going to get good transfers coming in. It's just, are those transfers going to address the biggest needs, which are offensive line and defensive line? And I know he's already brought 3 offensive line transfers in.
I still believe that with an offensive line, it's not a plug and play position. You need five.
No.
You need 5 guys as a unit to be good.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
yeah.
There's like chemistry that needs to be built there, and I feel like plugging and playing guys is not how you're gonna form chemistry at all.
I agree. That was the whole thing I was going to say. Essentially, to build a program, you have to retain guys.
1,000%.
I mean, bring in 80 new guys your first year. It's your first year. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You got to retain guys for the future. And so far, they've only lost 8 people. I mean, I saw. I don't remember who it was. Someone in the top 25 right now has lost 18 guys to the portal already. And so, only losing 8 people right now, that's not bad.
No.
That's not bad. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how he does. I think they probably go 6-6 next year.
I don't see.
This is just an early prediction.
I don't see them being
know.
bowl eligible.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh yeah, Jaden Daniels won the Heisman. We haven't even talked about that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he won the Heisman. There's not really much.
I mean, like,
to say.
It is weird this year.
Yeah, I think you said it before. He has never had that Heisman moment.
Yeah.
Like normally people kind of need to have to win the award.
Right.
Because it's such a story award.
He just went under the radar the whole year, and then at the end of the year, you're like...
Yeah, everyone just kind of realized, like, oh my God.
You're just like, yeah, he's the Heisman winner. I mean, like...
They're like 57 total touchdowns. Yeah, give it to him.
I mean, the one who had the closest to, like, a story so far would be Michael Penix.
Yeah, which he got second.
Right. I mean,
But
which makes sense.
It was actually, as far as total points go, he was actually pretty close.
Really?
He was about 300 total points off.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is that, like, Jaden Daniels had like 300 more first place votes.
Right.
Like, that was clearly the difference.
I mean, statistically speaking, he is the Heisman, without question.
Yeah, and I don't really have an issue with that. I think they should have invited Blake Corum. Blake Corum had like 22 touchdowns. Why did they not invite him?
He didn't even win running back of the year.
He had a lot of touchdowns.
Ollie Gordon beat him for running back of the year.
I mean, yeah, Ollie Gordon was good.
But I would say, like, honestly, I felt like if you're going to leave Florida State out, the least you could do is at least invite Jordan Travis to the Heisman.
They don't care. Also, it's a different body technically.
I'm aware.
The Heisman Club is different from.
Yeah, but it's like we all agree Marvin Harris Jr. is one of the best wide receiver recruits we've seen. Prospects we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he didn't need to be there.
He had a really good year.
I'm not saying he didn't. I'm
He had
just
a
saying.
very good year.
I'm just saying, like, he wasn't top 4 Heisman in my opinion.
Sometimes the Heisman Club will just invite people to New York as kind of like a recognition.
Yeah.
They're like, you're not going to win it, but come here.
Oh no. He had to have known. I mean, genuinely walking in there, you knew it was between Penix and Jaden Daniels, basically,
Yeah.
because
It was Jaden Daniels to lose. And he didn't. He won.
yeah, I mean,
Third LSU player to win the Heisman.
all right.
Yeah, Joe Burrow and some running back, I think, from a long time ago.
Oh, I was like Leonard Fournette.
Nope, not Leonard Fournette. I think
was
he
it?
might have been invited, but he definitely
No.
did not win.
I would say like it was like some Alabama running backs who've won it, right?
Yeah, so it's LSU is one of those programs. It's interesting.
What makes it interesting?
As far as the Heisman goes, like you would have expected they would have more Heisman winners, right? You would expect Jaden Daniels to be not the third.
Oh, I'm trying to run through the list. So like him, Burrow.
Him, Burrow, and that guy from a long time ago. But they've had Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, he was the 4th overall.
They've
pick.
had Tyrann Mathieu. He got invited.
Did Tyrann Mathieu actually get invited?
Yeah.
He was that good of a defensive player that he got invited to the
Yes.
Heisman?
He had a lot of forced fumbles that year. A lot.
Interesting. Because he had like off the field issues that put him down in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Great player, yeah.
Mhm. I mean, Alabama too. Like the first ever player to win the Heisman at Alabama was Mark Ingram.
Really?
Yeah. And they've won a ton since. You know, they've got Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, who shouldn't have won it, in my opinion. I think Christian McCaffrey should have won it.
Interesting.
Um,
Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry,
and then they got Bryce Young,
Devonta
Smith.
Yeah.
I think that might be it, but
One of the best Heisman speeches ever, Devonta Smith.
can't recall it.
It was about his size and his stature and how people told me I was too small and all this stuff, and basically just told everyone, keep pushing, keep motivating yourself, all this stuff. This is a tremendous speech. I'm not doing it justice.
I don't. I would hope. I would hope so.
Yeah.
I don't tend to watch the Heisman ceremonies.
I
think Joe Burrow's speech got back to me because it generated so much money for Northeastern. Yeah. I think Northeastern Ohio because he grew up in kind of a poor area and talked about that.
Yeah.
And a ton of donations came flooding in. But no, I think only the last one I can remember watching was Lamar winning it.
So I will say this: the funny thing about that I saw online was that Jaden Daniels. So you know how you have your suits and they like flash them and it shows like the inside and whatever. Jaden Daniels' suit was just might be a reflection of character. Was him flashing the Heisman pose. It was photos of him flashing the Heisman pose, and then Michael Penix's juniors.
Yeah, it was all his coaches and teammates. I did see that.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Fair enough.
I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. Good for Jaden Daniels. He had a great year.
He did.
Yes, Oregon and LSU were just padding stats at the end of the year. I don't care. He still had a phenomenal year. Before that, he only had one game where he didn't throw for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That was Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Florida State was the only... By the way, no, I know this conversation's over, but Florida State's defense is the only one that could stop Jaden Daniels. And they're not one of the best teams in the country, I guess. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
This is a dumb one, but I'll mention it. Charlie Baker, we hate him. He suggested new rules for public universities in the Power 5. The rules only apply for those schools.
Public in the Power
Public
5?
universities that are Power 5 schools. The new rules basically allow schools to collect NIL money and then use that to pay players. it's his way of trying to get ahead of the curve of like, no, we're paying players. See, schools are paying players. And it's like, well, no, because players can already get NIL. This is only public universities, which is weird. And it's only Power 5 universities, which is also weird. There's more to it. Basically, like, the Power 5 then becomes their own governing body.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which, for those of you who don't know, that's already kind of how it works with the NCAA. Like, the people that work at the NCAA suggest rules, and then they get voted on by university presidents. So, and it's the most powerful university presidents, like your Texas, your, Ohio State, like the biggest, most powerful schools. Those are the ones that vote. Anyway, but in this proposal, you could also, like, the Power 5 schools determine things like recruiting and like what is a violation with recruiting, what isn't, how many coaches you could have. Essentially, it would allow you to have an unlimited amount of coaches, stuff like that, common sense stuff. And I think he's trying to throw in all this common sense stuff to like dangle it above people, to be like, don't you want this? Don't you want this? But really, what it is to me is it's them trying to be like, look, we pay players, even though they're paying them NIL,
Right.
which they could already get on their own. And the Supreme Court, it's working its way up. The Supreme Court is going to make it illegal what the NCAA is doing. I guarantee it. They're going to make it illegal to say these student athletes can't get paid.
Right.
They're going to make it illegal. So it's dumb. I hate Charlie Baker. He's a moron.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Not really when it comes to that subject.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to other sports.
Yeah.
Let's go to other
Some exciting
sports.
times.
Yeah. We got
some local stuff going on here. Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, so for the Division I AA Rugby National Championship, Kentucky won. So
Congratulations, Kentucky.
yeah, they beat Louisville.
Yep.
In the national championship, which sucks for us. They won though, so we're gonna give them our
And
their
something
flowers.
very local going on here right now. The national championship for soccer is being played tonight.
Oh, it's
here.
tonight.
Yeah, it's here.
Okay, so the champion, I think.
I believe it's tonight.
I believe it's.
I don't know. I'll look it up.
It was either played Saturday, Monday, or is.
So,
Louisville is hosting. Well, not Louisville. Louisville, the city, is hosting.
Yeah, I guess
the,
Lou City. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it's between Clemson and
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Two
So
ACC schools.
yeah. So there's going to be an ACC champion there. If this will load ever. Yeah, it's being played tonight. So as of this coming out, you'll see. But either congratulations to Clemson or Notre Dame.
Right.
We might mention this next week because
Yeah.
actually no, but whatever. Congratulations now.
Congratulations to one of those ACC schools
Yeah.
for winning.
And then, of course, I think we'll talk about this more because we are very interested in this. But
Well, I watched one of these games.
yeah, the volleyball. Once
Women's
again,
volleyball is
yeah. You can't call it Final Four because it's not basketball, but the Final Four for women's volleyball is set.
Yep.
It's
And
Nebraska versus Pittsburgh, and then Wisconsin versus Texas.
I don't believe there was any upsets that happened in this matchups.
Yeah, no, Texas beat the 1 seed in their
Which was-
Stanford, but
okay.
Stanford was not looking very good.
No.
So
Well.
I was not at all shocked that Stanford lost.
Mhm.
So
Well, you got powerhouses: Nebraska, Pittsburgh, Wisconsin, and Texas.
yeah, it's all powerhouses. Pittsburgh now becomes the only team, I believe, to make the Final Four for the last 3 years.
How about that?
They beat, so it was interesting, they beat Louisville. The winner of that game in the Elite Eight was the only school that was going to be in the Final Four for 3 years in a row.
Oh.
And it ended up being Pittsburgh. They're probably going to get housed by Nebraska because they just look like world beaters this year.
Mm-hmm.
They look very good.
Yeah,
And then honestly, I think Wisconsin's going to beat Texas too.
I can see it. Yeah, it's it'll be interesting to see with those teams. I mean, Nebraska did break the all-time record for most people at a women's sporting event this year,
Mm-hmm.
which was exciting to see.
Yeah, the numbers are contested.
Or are they now?
Yeah, I mean, people lie. They broke the record. Like, whatever it is, they broke the record.
But the official number.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha. It'll be cool to see. Where is it this year?
It is in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay,
Okay.
Florida.
Gotcha.
So I guess none of them have a real advantage there
Mhm.
geographically, but good for them.
Mhm.
I think by next week's show, a champion will be crowned, so we'll talk about that. Volleyball is very interesting. If you've never watched it, watch it. It's very
It's
interesting.
a fun sport.
It's very fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can talk about basketball here. We could talk. So this is the biggest story probably right now
Mm-hmm.
with basketball because it's the time of year where people don't care about basketball
Mm-hmm.
yet. People don't care about basketball. People don't begin to care about college basketball until
End of the
after the
Super Bowl.
national championship. That's when some people begin. No one really focuses on college basketball.
You're referring to football, over there, right?
Yeah. After the football national championship, but no one begins to focus on college basketball until
March Madness.
until the Super Bowl ends. What you said.
Right. So
That's when
basically
people are like,
you got conference championships coming up
Yeah.
into the regular season.
yeah. People try to do like a 1 month cram session of like, okay, tell me everything I need to know about college basketball
I can
this
know-
season, so I can know about.
So I can bet it in March, basically.
That's exactly what it is. So
well,
the biggest, yeah.
go
Go
for
ahead.
it.
No.
Well, what I've gathered right now, it seems like Houston and Arizona are the top two dogs right now.
They're undefeated. They're very good. Yeah.
I would say that's what I'm gathering is that Houston and Arizona seem like the teams to beat right now.
I think.
With Purdue looking very good, but having some stumbling blocks there.
Yeah. It'll be interesting about Purdue. I think UConn and Kansas are still really good. They both have a loss. UConn's loss is to Kansas. Kansas' loss is to Marquette.
So, here's my take, and it's either going to be a Big East, Big 12, or Arizona winning it all this year.
Big 12 is really good again.
I mean, like, you got Kansas, you got
Who else in the Big East would win? Marquette, I guess.
Marquette or Creighton.
Oh, yeah, Creighton's good. Creighton's good.
It's Creighton, UConn, and Marquette, and it really depends on those matchups on who's going to win the Big East there, too.
Mhm. Yeah. But
Because it kind of significantly drops off there.
yeah, it does seem like there's 3 teams in the Big East, and then
Yeah. And then, like, the Big 12, surprisingly, I really like BYU. I think BYU's looking very good, and they're going to surprise some teams, I think.
yeah, BYU is good. We got into an argument about this in our top 25.
BYU is good, okay?
He had BYU in his top 10, and I did not have them ranked at all. And then I had Miami in my top 10, and he did not have them ranked at all.
Yeah.
Which they both lost this week.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, Miami lost to the better team. Oh, well.
No such thing as a good loss. Unless you're the college football committee.
Yeah. But anyway, that was a quick little recap for those who don't.
Yeah.
Anyone who's stuck around to this part of the video.
Yeah.
And who also doesn't
Just play it
watch
through.
college basketball the way we do here in Kentucky. But the biggest story surrounding college basketball right now is that Bronny James finally made his USC debut
How do you
after
look?
going into cardiac arrest.
Yeah. How do you look after that?
Well, I think he only got like 17 minutes, but he didn't put up great numbers. I mean, he's literally had cardiac arrust,
Yeah, he was-
Give him time.
He was unalive.
Yes, but he only had like 4 points, maybe 3 assists. Like, he was not great. But the more important thing about that, USC lost to Long Beach State. USC is now like 5-4. Their roster is loaded with talent. They have a ton of talent, and I like their coach too, Andy Enfield. So I'm genuinely shocked that they are not looking good right now.
I feel like there's teams that are in similar situations to them that I think are better than them.
Yeah.
Like, I think Tennessee's a very good team.
Tennessee is very good. Yeah.
They have 3 losses.
Hmm.
Michigan State.
But
I think
Tennessee's up to 7-3 now. They quickly got to, or they might be 6-3, but they quickly were like 4-3, which is a very bad record in basketball on paper. But they've
Tennessee, I
picked
think
it
is,
up.
Tennessee is good now.
And they got a good win this weekend too against Illinois,
Yeah.
who had also this past week beat FAU.
Which is surprisingly, I think, might be the second or third best team in it's Purdue, and then it's like Wisconsin and them right there. For next in the
Big Ten.
Yeah, I would say it's them two. Right
Illinois, Purdue, and Wisconsin.
there. I think those are the top 3 teams right now.
Yeah, I mean Wisconsin's good too. They also got 3 losses, but
Yeah,
they've got some good
And
wins.
then right behind them is another team that I like a lot that has suffered some losses in Michigan State.
I think I had Michigan State like number 3 in my
Preseason.
preseason poll, and then they went and lost to James Madison.
Yeah.
Who
Who
is-
is ranked right now? But
Yes.
I personally don't think they should be ranked.
I don't think they should be ranked as high as they are. I've ranked them in my poll, but they're literally like
I have
25.
not done my poll yet. I will get it up to you shortly.
You know what's interesting about James Madison though?
Mhm.
Their coach is Tom Izzo's nephew,
Interesting.
and he used to be on Michigan State's staff.
Well, that
So
would
he
make
has some
sense.
familiarity
Right.
with Tom Izzo and his scheme and everything.
Mhm.
So that's who upset Michigan State week 1. Michigan State's got 4 losses though. And they've got a tough schedule. They play
Oh yeah,
Baylor pretty soon,
yeah.
and then Baylor also plays at Duke pretty soon, which
Yeah.
I'm not sold on John Shire. Duke has so much talent this year,
They play tomorrow.
and they're like
against,
6-3.
Duke plays tomorrow against Hofstra.
Do they?
Yeah. Play tomorrow against
Tuesday. All right, so
Hofstra. The only reason why I know that is because one of my buddies is going to be at the game.
yeah. Then I think that would mean on Wednesday, Michigan State and Baylor play,
There you go.
because I know by the time Duke and Baylor play, Duke will have an extra day of prep for that game. So we'll see. We'll see how that one goes. But yeah, that's your USC college basketball Bronny James debut. I mean, Bronny James, the hype on him was that he's not that. Like, I wouldn't say the hype. The word on him was that he was overhyped.
I mean, who knows? With, I guess you call it an injury, even though it's not a.
No, I mean even before the cardiac arrest.
He was I want to say top 70, top 60. Like he was top
He's
100.
top 100.
He was top 100. He was an All-American.
Yeah,
Oh,
he made the McDonald's All-American game.
yeah.
But I don't think he deserved it.
I don't know enough about his high school career or the others around him to compare him to.
He's not as big as his dad. Obviously, I mean he's 6. No, I mean literally speaking, he's not as tall. Like he's
Oh,
6'3". LeBron's probably like 6'8", 6'7", 6'8". He's 6'3".
Is he 6'3"?
Mm-hmm. He's 6'3". He's a point guard, and it just doesn't. I don't know if he's as explosive as you would like a point guard to be. I don't think he's like a super pure scorer.
I mean, there was he was projected as a second-round pick this year.
Yeah, but the thing is, his name is he's projected as a second round pick probably because of the cardiac arrest. He will probably have to come back for his sophomore year.
No. Before the cardiac arrest, he was projected second round.
I saw some people projecting him like top 10.
No.
Yes.
Well, they're delusional.
His last name is James. Also, LeBron has said, I want to play with my son. You know how many people would be like, yeah, I'll pick Bronny to get LeBron for a year? Imagine you're a good team. Imagine you're a good team that's like just needs that little extra push to be a championship contender. Let's go trade up into the first round to get Bronny
No.
so that we can get LeBron for a year. Get a rental LeBron James.
No.
Anyway, LeBron's youngest son, Bryce,
He's big.
he's very good.
That's
That's the word on Bryce James. He's very good.
He's tall.
He's tall. Yeah,
there.
he might be like 6'9" or something like that. But I don't know.
6'4".
6'4".
Well, he's also like
just bulky.
He's like 15, 16. He's still growing.
I suppose he is young. I forget not everyone's like me. But
Yeah, he's 16.
all right, well, he could get taller.
Well, if you're old, he's 16. He was born in 2007.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's how it works. It's kind of,
Oh.
what was that? 9 years after me? Yeah. It's fine. I'm still young.
Would you have like a quarter life crisis there for a second?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's your update. So
Yeah. So watch some basketball. It's good.
yeah, it's very good. I guess on to the pick'ems, right?
Why not? Let's finish this puppy off.
Yes. We got finally we got bowl games. An update on this, however. So all year we've been doing pick'ems. Don't know how many of you know that. We've been tracking the pick'ems. Currently, the fans, that's you, are in third place with 100 correctly picked games, and then Sam and I are tied at 106.
How about that?
So it'll be interesting down the stretch of the bowl games and the FCS playoffs to see who can eke it out. But we're starting off here with Georgia Southern versus Ohio. Shoot, I should have looked up what bowl games these were. I think that's the Myrtle Beach Bowl. I'm going to look up these games now so that just for my own sake, I want to know. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Who do you got in this one?
I got Ohio.
Ohio is 9-3. Georgia Southern is 6-6. But I think they're 6-6 in the better conference, the Sun Belt. So I'm going to pick Georgia Southern. Plus, I like their quarterback, David Brin.
Fair enough.
So next up, we've got the Celebration Bowl. This is the only FCS bowl game. It's between the two HBCU conferences
Oh, okay.
in FCS. So it is Howard versus Florida A&M.
I did Florida A&M. I genuinely know nothing about either of these programs.
Yeah, so here's the thing about this. I think Florida A&M is the better team. I have a friend that went to Howard,
Oh.
and
It's a Hartfield.
I'm picking Howard. I'm picking Howard. Go Buffaloes. They might be Bison.
They're Bisons.
Go Bison. So
You could play as they were the worst team in NCAA basketball 2010. The dynasty with them.
look at that. Were they as good as Idaho?
I think I quit it pretty soon. I think I only won like 2 ships with them. Recruiting was hard in that game.
Well, it's hard in real life.
Well, also I would just I would simcast the games and then get to the very end, and then if I was losing, I would hop in and just,
Try to fix it. All
take
right.
care of business.
I never had that game, so I don't know.
It's
how
very
it works.
hard playing against John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins.
I bet. All right, now we've got the New Orleans Bowl, Jacksonville State versus Louisiana. I'm taking Jacksonville State in this one, the Fighting Rich Rods.
You've put me on to them. I'm sticking with them. I don't think I've picked against them since the first game.
I've picked against them a couple times, but
They're fun.
I believe in them this year.
They can run their no-huddle offense. They're
Oh
lethal.
yeah, and they just wear teams down too.
Yeah,
It's fun to watch another team just wear a team down, as if it's competitive. That is. And then we've got the Cure Bowl. That would be on Miami of Ohio versus App State.
Well, one with App State. They upset JMU coming off a high win. I don't see why they can't continue it.
Well, that was 2 games ago. I'm picking Miami of Ohio. You want to talk about an upset? They just beat Toledo
Oh,
in their conference championship.
Very
App
true.
State lost their conference championship to Troy. I'm going Miami,
yeah, point there. Yeah.
the real Miami.
Mhm.
All right, next we've got the New Mexico Bowl. For some reason, New Mexico State is in this game, and they're playing Fresno State. Who you got?
It's a home game. Give me New Mexico State.
It is a home game, but I've got Fresno State in this one.
Fresno is an interesting one for me. They kind of fell off. They were the leaders of the
Mountain West.
Mountain West, and then they just slipped it away.
Yeah, they had a rough stretch at the end of the year, but I think their quarterback is good on the Power 5 level. Mike Keene, former Central Florida quarterback. I like him. I like him in this game. Then we've got the LA Bowl. Once again, don't know why they're here, but UCLA is playing Boise State. I think that Chip Kelly might be coaching for his job a little bit. I'm going to pick UCLA. I think they're going to get it done.
No. Boise State already fired their coach
This is
and
true.
hired a new coach within the time span.
They just promote the guy?
Yep.
Why not? After one game.
And they basically have been winning games with him at the helm since. Went on to win.
Since?
I mean, like, since the firing.
Yeah, they fired him after the regular season, right?
No, they fired him mid-regular season, like after like 10 games. Or
You
9
sure?
games. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they've won pretty much every game since. Found a way to make it into the Mountain West championship game.
Won the Mountain West.
Yeah, won the Mountain West this year. Also, UCLA, who's throwing the ball for them? Dante Moore is in the portal.
Well, he hasn't been playing for a little while.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, there's some trouble going on at UCLA right now. Give me Boise State.
All right. Next, we've got the Independence Bowl. We've got Cal versus Texas Tech. I like Texas Tech in this game because their starting quarterback went into the transfer portal, but he has been injured at multiple points in this year. And so I think their backup quarterback is very comfortable playing. Obviously, they weren't incredible with him. They were only 6-6, but I think there's going to be more familiarity there. So I'm taking Texas Tech.
I'm going Texas Tech. I really don't know too much about Cal. I really just don't know enough. Are they just like a 6-6 team that just got into a bowl game, basically?
Yes, that is exactly what they are.
I mean, like, I really just don't know too much about them. They just seem like they're just happy to be there, I guess. I don't know. Give me Texas Tech.
All right. Final bowl game. We've got the this looks like one of those bowl games that was sold their soul to give the entire naming rights to a company. The famous Toastery Bowl. Don't even know where that is. I'm going to look it up right now. But it's against Western Kentucky versus Old Dominion. And they're going to play that game in Jerry Richardson Stadium. I don't know where that is.
Should be at the bottom right there.
Charlotte, North Carolina. Oh, they're playing that at Charlotte. Like at the university. Oh, that's a terrible bowl game. All right, Western, Old Dominion. Who you got?
Western. I'm just going with a hard pick here. Don't really know too much about either of these teams.
Yeah, Old Dominion has not had a great year. Western did not have a good year for what they thought they were going to do going into the season.
Where were they both? Like 7-5, 8-4?
Western Kentucky is 7-5, Old Dominion is 6-6. Yeah, both of these teams had a little bit of disappointing seasons, especially Western based on the preseason hype. But given the coach and the quarterback, I'm going to take Western. So that is it for the bowl games. Now we've got the big games, the big dogs. The Albany Great Danes versus the I almost said South Florida. The South Dakota state Jackrabbits, I believe.
Yep, that's correct.
In the first of two semifinal FCS playoff games. I'm going to take South Dakota in this one.
Yep, give me them Jackrabbits.
Yeah, it's
If your name doesn't have state in FCS, you're not winning the ship.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes.
South Dakota State played a much closer game than people thought they would against Villanova, but I still have confidence in them. The win's all you need. Next, finally, we got the game of the week. That being North Dakota State going to Montana, going to the tundra to play for a chance at a national championship or a spot in the national championship game. Who you got? I mean, you already tipped your answer with what you said
North Dakota State.
because they've got a state in their name.
Well, also, they're just the team in the FCS. And until I can see someone knock them off, maybe Montana can do it. But until I see it, I'm going to ride with them.
Well, they've lost 3 games this year, so I think they've already been knocked off 3 times.
I don't think so. Not in the playoffs. They haven't. Not when it matters the most.
I am taking Montana. Our Montana fans, you did us good. Do us good again. Do us right. Give me the Grizz. I love the colors of their jerseys. That maroon and silver is just nice.
God, you just sound.
It's just
you sound like an
nice.
awful politician right now. You know that?
I would be a fantastic politician.
No, you're like. I love them. They're great. They're so good. Love their colors.
No, because I would have a speechwriter, and he like they would give me like specific details and stuff. If I were a politician.
Great. I love them.
All right, that's our pick'ems. That's our show. Go Grizz! You're gonna beat North Dakota State.
I believe it when I see it.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Absolutely, guys.